Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. I gotta be honest, I didn't think I was gonna be back for any more great commentaries. I had a really tough 4 weeks, dealing with the Cymbalta withdrawal. Not making an update on that now because I'm waiting to see how it goes. Right now I feel 100%. Today was a really good day. Hopefully I turned a corner, but I don't know. So you have to wait with these things. And but no, it was really tough and really dark. For all I know, I'm not out of the woods. Maybe that's going to happen again. But I did not think I would be able to make videos anymore. So here we are. It's only like 4 weeks later, and I'm still doing it. I mean, I know I made that one football video, but my heart wasn't really in that. So, when I've been, obviously, fighting off the depression. So, you just try to find things to pass the time, and so it's tough because I'm bored of everything anyway. You're looking for new stuff, things to kill the time. So, I've been watching a lot of John Anthony lifestyle stuff, and I'm afraid to really talk about John Anthony lifestyle because apparently he really likes to sue people, and I know that I'm like such a small channel he would never hear about it, but like you have to be careful with somebody like that because last thing you want is to get a lawsuit. So no, I do enjoy his content. I think he's entertaining. I mean, obviously, I don't like those. One thing he's really big on is he always says like I publish like all this infield footage and stuff, and it's like the thing is it's like infield footage is cringe no matter what. It doesn't matter if your infield footage is the guy killing it. It's still like for me very painful to watch. So I'm not like that, but I like it when I don't really like his stream stuff either. But like when he just does like reaction videos, I think they're really entertaining, and at least usually. He had he was talking about this is old news now, but that UFC fighter Sean Strickland went on to some podcast. I don't know, like follow this podcast shit, so I don't know who these guys are. But that Sean Strickland guy went on to this podcast called Nelk Boys or something, or Neck Boys, I don't know. And he just for no reason just completely clowned them to their faces. And so John Anthony has a video of him reacting to that, and he's really berating the guys for not standing up for themselves. And if you see the video, see the Nelk Boys, the way the Nelk Boys behaved on the podcast, it was pretty disgraceful. It was really humiliating. But I don't think I think John Anthony's way of them standing up for themselves, whatever that means, would have been even worse. And if I had, if I was going to go talk to the younger version of me, if I could only offer, I mean, there's so much I would tell the younger version of me, but if there was only one thing I could tell to, entering, let's say, the 11 or 12-year-old me entering 6th grade, if there was only one piece of advice, it would be don't stand up for yourself. Don't think that you have to stand up for yourself. You don't. You don't. And you usually shouldn't. And, that sometimes it gets, the saying is choose your battles. And I don't like that because it's such a cliche, but it's really true. And, society really does have this value that you need to stand up for yourself, that it's important to stand up for yourself. I mean, even your teachers and parents teach you that. And it's wrong. It's so wrong. Like the way the world works, and just I'm speaking in very broad terms here. I'm not trying to be ultra fatalistic. I'm just trying to say, like, you have to understand the context that things work in. And the way the world works is the strong take what they can and the weak endure what they must. I think it was Julius Caesar who said that. Now, I mean, that's not the ideal. We want a just world where everybody's treated equitably and fairly, and everybody's treated with respect. I get that. And I'm not saying that you have to just meekly submit to every bad thing that happens to you. But I'm saying that that's reality, though. That's reality. That's how things work. And I mean, and it's like, so anything you do has to be, within the understanding of the real world you live in, not some like world of which you should be in. And because I was thinking about, like, so John Anthony's like always gets on people for not standing up for themselves. He was killing these Nelk Boys guys, and he was killing this guy Danny Mullen, who he really hates, for not standing up for himself when Adam 22 was humiliating him on his own podcast. And he's got this guy Michael Sartain, who he really hates, who he was getting on about Michael Sartain, not standing up for himself against his girlfriend when she humiliated him on a podcast. And on the Whatever podcast, actually. And when Michael Sartain you can look it up if you're interested. When Michael Sartain got humiliated on his podcast, Brian, on the Whatever podcast, Brian actually later on says to him, I wouldn't have tolerated that kind of disrespect. And then Michael Sartain just goes, oh, well. And then, of course, later he tries to play it down. And, all these red pill guys are like so obsessed with, respect, and saying, and, so like, but a guy like, I mean, they're all like John Anthony, who hates all the red pill guys, is kind of this, like, this is the one thing he agrees with them on. You've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to earn people's respect and stuff. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't at all. And, I mean, it seems like there seems to be like two main ways to react to it. One is to like just kind of like roll with it and like get along with, like, it'd be like, oh yeah, thanks for the feedback, it's cool, play along with it, try to like fake laugh it off. The other is to like, stand up for yourself. I don't know, that could mean a fist fight, that could mean being like, hey, these are my boundaries, I don't tolerate that kind of talk, that kind of shit. And I think they're both really mistaken. They're so getting back to, I'm sorry, this is kind of scattered, but like getting back to the Nelk Boys thing, right? So this Sean Strickland guy is just totally clowning them on their podcast. And I'm thinking, like, what would I do if it were me there? Because I'll tell you what they did. They like completely tried to roll with it. They tried to like appease him. A couple times they were like, nah, it's good. Like, they tried to like, find common ground with him and laugh at it, even though you could tell it was bothering them. In some points, they like made like kind of like really half-assed attempts to stand up for themselves. And I thought it was handled horribly. I thought they handled it horribly and completely humiliated themselves. But with like somebody like John Anthony, and I guess all the red pillars would have them say, is be like, dude, you can't talk to us that way. This is our show. You can't talk to us that way. Cause like that's not cool. We're not going to do that here. You could have done that. I mean, you could have done that. But the thing is, it's like, I mean, he didn't really, I mean, like Sean Strickland didn't really do anything out of line. Like he was like he's a guest on the podcast. If he wants to insult him, like, I mean, if he was being like profane or something, that's good. Another thing is there's just kind of, there's the power dynamic there. Like he's a big, scary guy. They're two wimps. And, they wouldn't have, what are they going to talk about for the rest of the show if they kick him out? And, it just maybe seems smarter to like, there's this like, unpredictable, really big, really violent guy here. Like is standing up to him really like, is that prudent? Is that a good idea? And it isn't necessarily. So no, I wouldn't have done that either. I mean, like, yes, if you have the like you had the fortitude to do that, just be like, hey, could you please stop, with the insults, something like that. Yeah, I mean, you could, like, okay, that would be okay. I mean, I don't think that's what these red pill guys are talking about. They're talking about like more like come in, like put your foot down. Hey, it's not acceptable to talk to me that way. Blah blah blah. It's like, no, you don't need to do that shit. And so, like, how would have played it is, well, I wouldn't have done the stand up for yourself. Certainly wouldn't have talked to him like that. I wouldn't have asked him to stop with the insults. I might have made a comment about it, like, wow, like a lot of insults here. And, it's like something like that. But otherwise, I would just play along with the interview. I know, like, their excuse is going to be like, well, we're trying to create content and shit. It's like, I mean, whatever. We saw the conversation. We understand the tenor of the conversation. You were getting rolled. You were just there getting rolled. So I guess what I would do is, you don't have to stand up for yourself, but you don't have to play into it either. You can just ignore the insults and go on. And there really is a lot to be said for just ignoring the insults. Remember, like, you don't have to, like, if it's just words, you don't have to react. Like, I understand that there are times where you have to stand up for yourself, but this, like, obsession people have with being respected, like having, like, being treated with appropriate respect. It's like, dude, guys, get the fuck over yourselves. Stop taking yourself so fucking seriously. What's the fucking big deal? If some people don't respect you, who fucking cares? Like, yeah, if you're in prison, yeah, you need to ensure enough respect that, like, people aren't going to prey on you, because you need that for your fucking survival. But if these guys, like, their survival isn't at risk. Their livelihood isn't at risk. It's just, their reputation and their self-image. Who fucking cares, man? It doesn't matter. It's definitely not worth fighting over and, expanding limited resources over. And, because, like, generally, if somebody's picking on you, they're picking on you because you're weaker. You're weaker. I mean, not necessarily physically, but socially or personality wise. They just have that strength. Like animals, like if you see like apes in the wild, like the alpha never really has to fight to establish his dominance. He just needs to make it clear that he's stronger and the other ones back down, because if they don't, they're going to get killed. And, that's just like instinct. People can all like sense like, your strength and stuff like that. And again, not necessarily physically, and where you rank, and sometimes you're just outforced, like relationships. And I don't mean necessarily romantic relationships or even friendships, but like any types of social interaction, they have that dynamic where there is like, different levels of strength or power or leverage within the interaction. And, in this case, like those Nelk Boys guys didn't have the leverage. And same thing like with Michael Sartain when he gets humiliated by his girlfriend on the podcast. Well, she doesn't respect him. Like, so maybe he shouldn't be with her. But that's like, that's how far it goes. Like, you don't like, I mean, that's the dynamic of their relationship is what it is. And, it's like, no, you don't need to be a tough guy or try to like laugh it off or do like, oh, well, I don't care. You just be like, you just go silent. I mean, sometimes you get beat. And, really, if somebody's, disrespecting you, like it truly, I'm not trying to sound all cope, but they're only humiliating themselves. It's pathetic, to pick on somebody weaker than you. And, to treat somebody, you should treat people with respect, not for their sake, but for your sake. It's just like, that's just good manners, and it's part of being a good person. And, if somebody doesn't want to do that and wants to humiliate themselves, that's on them. It's not your job to correct, their bad behavior. I get it that there are points, there are times where you do need to stand up for yourself. Like I was saying, there's limits. I'm not saying be a Buddhist or be like a hippie and you're just like be like completely passive. I'm saying that there are times where being passive is the right move, probably more often than not. Basically, do you have to fight over this? If not, then let it go. Somebody mouths off to you, just let it go. Somebody like, like there's like boundaries and stuff. Like, yeah, there are going to be times where, You have to do something, and you hope you can do it in a productive way. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical confrontation, although that can be necessary sometimes too. But like a verbal confrontation. But you're going to run into cases where, again, not necessarily physically, but you're the weaker party, and there's nothing you can do except endure. And you let it go and you move on. And that's what life's all about, is coping, adapting. Not everybody gets dealt this. You don't necessarily always have. You're not necessarily dealt a great hand. And, that's where you really prove your character and learn and grow as a person, is learning how to deal with the shitty hands that you get dealt with, That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.